And coach's thoughts, general thoughts, your team heading into this season.
Well, I appreciate you guys being on today. Obviously, I think probably shared by a lot of the head coaches in the media day today. We're very excited, and the players in this program probably I've been most impressed by their buy-in. As a new head coach and a new staff coming in here and trying to implement our standards, our culture. The players, the returning players, have really bought in and been very, very impressed with the transfers that we brought in, and we talk a lot in our program about being low maintenance, high production individuals, and we've really seen that develop here over the last 12 weeks. So, we're in less than 2 weeks from our report date and kind of putting the final touches on our summer training right now, but very excited and really excited to see the hard work that this team has put in pay off, in this August training camp that's right around the corner.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to some questions. Again, if you have a question, let me know. John, you're up first. Go ahead with your questions.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
With building this roster into the summer, I know we talked back in the spring. What did you look for, and what did you really want to get? And did you think you got a pretty good mix of players coming in?
Yeah, well, philosophically, it's just always been a part of my fabric to have a very big team. Just when it comes to physical size, especially on the offensive and defensive lines, and as it transcends to the skill positions, I think that was something that we identified very, very early as a new staff back in December and January, saying we got to get bigger. We have to get more length on the team, and so that's been a focus, especially with the transfer portal and junior college recruiting, and we certainly have done that almost to the extent at times that I was willing to take a chance on a guy that maybe wasn't as polished or finished of a product, maybe as some other teams that we're looking for, but I saw some redeemable qualities in that young man when it came to his size and his physical abilities and speed and those type of things. So, we certainly have improved the size. I'm probably as excited about our offensive line as I have been maybe in the last 5 or 6 years of any team I've coached. And a lot of that has to do with just the physical development that's happened in the weight room, but also that we've recruited here thus far.
Any other questions in the chat, just let us know. Dan, is Barry with us? I know you said Barry might have a question. I don't see him in the
Yeah,
chat.
he's with us.
Okay, Barry, are you there? Go ahead. I didn't see your name. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, Coach. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Good. I wanted to ask you, obviously, after you were hired, you probably had priorities for the first 30 days, for the first 90 days, etc. As you approach fall camp here, what are your main priorities and your main goals here in this next period?
Well, it's football time now. We when we were hired again back in January, there was such an emphasis put on recruiting. There was such an emphasis put on the physical development of this football team, and certainly the communal development of this football team. I've said oftentimes in my 21 years of coaching, I don't know that I've been around a more passionate alumni database than we have here at Western. And so it was a big priority for us as a staff and as a team to just continually reconnect with alumni and let those guys, that they're leathernecks for life. And then obviously be able to transcend that to our current team and let them know how many people care about them and how many people are interested in seeing them succeed. So a lot of those things have happened. And now as a football coach at my core, I'm ready to start coaching, and get on the grass and watch, our team from a football standpoint, see how far we've come since spring football, in this summer, and very excited to see some of the new players that we've brought in. Thus far, like I mentioned, those young men have really gelled well with our team when it comes to physical development, community service, things we've done in the weight room, things we've done as a team. And now I want to see these guys play ball, and see what pieces of the puzzle we have here. So that football component, I think as a coach, that's at your core, that's who you are. And that's right around the corner. And that aspect being so imminent is really what gets me excited.
For you, are the challenges of moving to a new league, taking your program to a new league, are those lessened by the fact that you know the OVC?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that it's lessened. And I think there's probably some coach speak in this. I mean, we're going to prepare for the OVC just as if we're preparing to play in the Big Ten or the Missouri Valley or anywhere. I mean, I think any coach would tell you that they're much more focused on their own team than the opponents, especially at this time of year. We talk a lot in our program with our players right now about never them, always us. And it's really not about the opponent. It's not about the stadium or the conference. It's about us. It's about being the best version of ourselves that we can every single day. It's about taking a step individually as players and coaches and collectively as a team every single day. And so those are the things that will remain a commonality amongst our team. And really the first 14 to 16 days of our training camp are going to be very Western Illinois focused. We still have a lot to do when it comes to figuring out, who is going to play where. And like I mentioned, what pieces of the puzzle fit where. And then, I think those things will take care of themselves. And once we settle in, we'll start focusing on our first opponent. And Northern Illinois will be our only focus at that point. We are not going to worry about the OVC at that point. It will be game to game and week to week, and Northern Illinois being the first opponent. That'll really be our first focus here as we transcend through camp.
Last one for you, Coach. I wanted to ask you, amid all the new faces on this roster, you have guys like Nate and guys like Juan who have been around for a long time. What are your expectations of them as you kind of build this program?
Well, I can tell you about these two young men. You'll get a chance to speak with them. I mean, they were elected captains, by their team, and I'm a big believer that that's a player driven vote. Coaches don't have a hand in picking captains, and we came out of spring, really with probably about 6 to 8 guys that received a lot of votes from their teammates. Juan and Nate were the clear cut top 2 guys, and we will definitely add probably a couple captains here during training camp. I wanted to let the team kind of continue to develop and see, who rose to the top when it came to leadership. I can tell you something about Juan. He's been here a long time. He's been in a lot of big games, having coached in the Missouri Valley Conference myself. I know that on Saturdays, you're going to get the best version of Juan De La Cruz. You can't hide in that league, nor can you in our league. So I'm really excited about him. We've placed a big emphasis this summer on creating some player-driven leadership. And so the players have had a big hand in our summer workouts when it comes to organization and directives. And Juan has really grabbed the bull by the horn, so to speak, on the defensive side. So I'm excited about him. Nate is a guy that I give a lot of credit to, because when there was a coaching change back in December, he had every reason in the world to leave. He's from California. He's already played at the FBS level, could have gone in the transfer portal or done whatever. And he stuck it out and said, all right, I want to see what this new staff's all about. And I couldn't be more excited about the spring that he had. He's probably grasped our offense as quick as any quarterback I've ever had. Has a lot of similar traits to Pierce Ollie. I'll be honest with you, at Eastern, they are very similar players when it comes to how they play the game. And now Nate's just got to play. He's got to get in games and see how everything unfolds. So, but these two guys being at the forefront of our program right now, I couldn't be more excited about it. And they're bought in, they're hard workers, they're tough, and they really represent what Western Illinois football is all about.
Thanks, Coach.
We got Matt Schuckman up next. Go ahead, Matt.
Coach, how you doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, what's the biggest challenge you and your staff face when training camp begins?
Yeah, I just, I think there's still a lot of unknowns about our team. I mean, we'll have, 115 players here in camp, and we'll have, I think, approximately 65 new guys that were not a part of this program last year. I mean, that's a pretty big number, and I think in this era of transfer portal, me being a little bit old school, it seems like a big number. As you talk to coaches throughout the country, I think a lot of programs would say that's beginning to be the norm. But how do you get those 60 plus new guys integrated? How do you figure out, what pieces fit where. So I think those are challenges, but I'll be honest with you, those are the fun challenges as a coach. I mean, those are the things that we look forward to, and getting a chance to work with players and watch them develop and really adapt our football scheme to the strengths of the players that we have. And that's going to be the challenge, and that's going to be the focus. So like I mentioned before, we've gotten a lot bigger. We've gotten a lot faster, especially at the skill positions. I think what we lack on this team right now is experience. We have a lot of very talented players that just haven't played yet. And so our hope and prayer and our job as coaches is to develop these young men and figure out a way to put the best 11 guys on the field in every snap. And so we've got some work to do, here over the next 4 to 6 weeks to figure out who those guys are.
If there's other questions for Coach, let us know down in the chat. We got a few more minutes with him. Coach, how do you take the success you had as an offensive coordinator last year and bring that to the offensive system that you're all putting into place to Western? I know that sounds crazy or too easy, but what are the skills that will transition over as you put your stuff into place?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would tell you this, as an offensive coordinator, the plays that were called and the specific schemes that we ran at Eastern Illinois or Albany in a playoff run, or Fordham or Northern Iowa, they change, year to year based on the skill set of your players. I say what doesn't change is the demand for excellence. What doesn't change is the attention to detail. What doesn't change is placing an emphasis on what we call mastering the mundane, being very, very good, being experts at the basics of our offense. And because that's really the core, and as an offensive coordinator and play caller for 16 years, that's one thing I've tried to never deviate from. There's all kind of great new schemes. There's all kind of great new plays that offenses run and I think are great. But I can tell you this, what doesn't change is teams that win are very detail oriented. They figure out ways to create explosive plays. They have a massive emphasis on protecting the football. And those are things that I think we're working on implementing here. And the best offenses I've ever been a part of bought into that. And it showed up on Saturdays. And the first thing that we need to do here at Western is not beat Western, and then we can start attacking other teams. So, that offensive philosophy of attention to detail and focus and mastering the mundane, those are things that we'll be continuing to implement here, and we will get it going here. And once we find those right pieces and develop those right pieces, our hope and prayer is that that'll show up on Saturday for Leatherneck fans.
And I know you said earlier, once you get in the camp, Northern Illinois is going to be your focus. But in general, how do you feel about this schedule? You're going to play some big South-OVC teams you've not played before. You're going to play some non-conference, some good non-conference games. Just general thoughts on how this schedule shaped up.
Yeah, again, I'm going to go back to, our focus is going to be on Western first. Our focus is going to be on ourselves first here for these first couple of weeks of camp, and then we'll transcend into Northern Illinois. I'm not blind to the fact that we've got a bear of a schedule to start this season. I joke with Paul Bubb. I'm trying to remember if he told me that we had 3 straight road games and 2 FBS opponents to start the season or not. I can't remember, but we're excited about it. We're excited about that challenge. I mentioned to our team, and again, just off past experience, playing a difficult early season schedule typically pays dividends later in the year. And things may not always be crystal clear and perfect early in the season, but those tough games, those physical games on the road really force you to find your best players, and typically positive things happen for you late in the season. I've been a part of teams where maybe our early season schedule or non-conference was not as difficult, and we started the season with a very, very good record. But that it wasn't real. And I think we weren't able to sort of sustain that success as the games got difficult late in the year. So that'll be our focus here is embracing that early difficult, schedule, going on the road 3 straight weeks, playing a Power 4 school, playing a really, really good MAC team, playing Illinois State, perennial playoff contender, and then we'll see where we're at. We get a bye week, and then we'll get a chance to come home here for the first time to Hanson Field, and we'll kind of see where the chips lie.
Perfect, Coach. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Best of luck to your team this season.
Thank you so much.